Using the tainted in governance in times of necessity. Perspectives from Chanakya and Machiavelli. In contemporary political discourse, one question remains fiercely debated. Should governments appoint individuals with tainted reputations, those previously involved in corruption, into positions of state authority? Critics argue that such decisions undermine ethical standards and erode public trust. Supporters counter that those who understand the mechanisms of corruption may be uniquely qualified to dismantle them, echoing the pragmatic proverb, "To catch a thief, one must think like a thief." This dilemma embodies the tension between pragmatic governance and moral integrity. The issue becomes even more intriguing when examined through the eyes of two of history's most influential political thinkers, Chanakya, author of the Arthashastra in ancient India, and Niccolo Machiavelli, author of The Prince from Renaissance Florence. Both masters of statecraft, they nonetheless view the world through profoundly different philosophical lenses. Scene: the assembly hall. The chamber falls silent. Members surround a long central table. A soft echo from the microphone breaks the stillness as the speaker invites the two thinkers to present their views. Speaker of the assembly. Today we confront a crucial question that unsettles society. Should the state employ individuals with tainted pasts in governing the country? To illuminate this debate, we welcome Chanakya of ancient India and Niccolo Machiavelli of Florence. Chanakya rises slowly, voice firm and grave. Honorable members, the state survives through stability and the trust of its people. To place individuals with corrupt histories into power without rigorous oversight is akin to opening the gates to a fire that will consume the entire house. However, I do not claim that such individuals are useless. Those familiar with darkness know its pathways well. They may assist in exposing wrongdoers only if they are restrained with the strictest vigilance. Fire, water, and a greedy ruler must be controlled, or they shall destroy the state. Members nod, some murmuring agreement. Chanakya's position: ethical governance and strategic use. Chanakya does not forbid employing morally tainted individuals if they retain strategic value for the state, recognizing human nature realistically, believing that all humans can succumb to greed. He insists on strong surveillance, systems of accountability, and severe penalties. He warns, fire, water, and a greedy ruler must be controlled, or they will consume the state. Arthashastra, Book I. For Chanakya, employing such individuals is a double-edged sword, beneficial when controlled, disastrous if authority is left unchecked. Thus he demands systems of law, intelligence networks, sanctions, and limited access to sensitive power. Core principles: a usability over perceived moral purity, a distrust and rigorously monitor those skilled in deception, a place the state's welfare and dharma above personal loyalty. Summary of Chanakya: use the immoral only under the tightest control. One who once betrayed the state may betray it again. Machiavelli stands confidently, eyes sharply focused. Ladies and gentlemen, politics is not a fragrant garden but a battlefield filled with traps, lions, and foxes. Ask yourselves, if the enemies of the state are masters of deception, shall we fight them with saints and innocents? To defend the state, we must sometimes use those familiar with the weapons of corruption, turning vice into an instrument of power, not letting it reign over us. The ruler must be a lion to frighten wolves, and a fox to outwit traps. Applause and murmurs of approval ripple through the hall. Machiavelli's position: political realism and survival. Machiavelli emphasizes outcomes and survival over moral perfection. In the arena of power, effectiveness outweighs purity. He argues that individuals experienced in manipulation may be valuable temporary instruments in political conflict. He writes, "A ruler must learn to employ both the lion and the fox." The Prince, Chapter 18. Core principles: a competence matters more than past virtue. The ruler should use morally tainted individuals to perform dirty work, protecting the state's image. When they become liabilities, they must be removed immediately, publicly if necessary. Summary of Machiavelli. Use them while they are useful. Discard them the moment they endanger power or reputation. Exchange between the two thinkers. Chanakya. If we grant too much power to the corrupt, the people will lose faith in the state. Without public trust, power means nothing. True authority rests on dharma and justice, not merely short-term success. Machiavelli. I do not reject morality, but survival must come first. Once the crisis has passed, such individuals must face consequences. So the people see that power stands above persons. Synthesis. Different paths to a similar tool. Although both Chanakya and Machiavelli acknowledge that employing individuals with tainted reputations may become a necessity in certain political circumstances, they diverge significantly in the conditions and philosophical frameworks under which such individuals should be utilized as instruments of statecraft. For Chanakya, employing those who have previously strayed from moral principles is permissible only under a strong institutional system, thorough scrutiny, and the guiding framework of dharma and law. He emphasizes that the exercise of power must be grounded in long-term stability and the trust of the people. Thus, Chanakya prioritizes systemic controls, accountability, and the balancing of power over urgent short-term gains. He warns that granting unchecked authority to such individuals risks internal collapse, and that preserving legitimacy in the long run is the essential foundation of state security and endurance. In contrast, Machiavelli views political reality through a lens of stark pragmatism. He places paramount importance on the survival of the state, strategic outcomes, and the stability of power in the short and medium term, rather than moral perfection. He argues that those who have walked through the shadows understand best how to combat the darkness, and therefore may become valuable assets in times of necessity. However, Machiavelli cautions that these individuals should be treated merely as temporary instruments, to be discarded once they become liabilities or no longer serve the interests of the ruler, in order to protect the state's image and stability. Thus, while both thinkers agree that the use of morally compromised individuals is not inherently forbidden, the crucial difference lies in the terms and purposes of their employment. Chanakya stands firmly upon the principles of systemic control and legal governance, whereas Machiavelli centers his reasoning on outcomes, expediency, and political survival. Chanakya values long-term legitimacy, whereas Machiavelli prioritizes short-term victory and stability. Ultimately, the decision of whether to employ such individuals does not depend on the persons themselves, but rather on whether the state possesses robust mechanisms for control, oversight, and risk management. The double-edged sword may become an instrument of protection, or it may turn back to wound the one who wields it, depending on the strength, wisdom, and vigilance of those in power. Final reflection. A state that uses the corrupt without control burns from within. A state that refuses to use capable individuals because of their past may lose the war of power. The real issue lies not in who is chosen, but in what system governs those choices. Questions for contemporary society. Which path should modern nations choose? Or will we reject capable individuals solely because of their past? Or will we allow them opportunities under strict transparency? Or will we sacrifice moral standards for short-term gains, or build a system strong enough to withstand imperfection? In reality, perfect choices rarely exist. The question is not whom shall we choose, but what system will prevent destruction if we must. Closing aphorisms. Chanakya. Use the wicked as one grips a double-edged sword, always by the handle, never by the blade. Machiavelli. Use the wicked while they serve power, and cast them off once they threaten the stability of the state.